bilingüe. Va a ser en español y en inglés. Vamos a tener gente que participe en las dos lenguas. Y esto tiene un sentido. El sentido es que la TEI es un consorcio internacional donde participan investigadores e interesados en el tema de todo el mundo. Utilizamos el inglés como una especie de lengua puente para la comunicación entre los distintos interesados. Y además el glosario sobre el que estamos trabajando, la lengua base del glosario es además el inglés. Entonces, bueno, este es un poco el por qué estamos también en esta sesión utilizando dos lenguas. Raff, can you put the slides so we can start? Thank you. Bien, entonces esta sesión de Editatón en la que estamos, bueno, Hugh Cayless, que hoy no puede acompañarnos, Martina Scholger de la Universidad de Graz, Rafael Viglianti de la Universidad de Maryland y Elena Bermúdez Sabel de la Universidad de, Elena, recuérdamelo, estás en Suiza, Lausanne, perdón. Estamos aquí preparando para ustedes esta actividad que le vamos a contar un poquito de qué se trata. Raff, can you pass the slide? Bien, entonces, como para comenzar, para los que a lo mejor escucharon alguna vez hablar de la TEI, otros creo que ya lo conocen, pero dos palabras sobre esto. La Text Encoding Initiative es una iniciativa de un consorcio internacional, como les comentaba, creado en la década de los 90, cuya misión es el desarrollo y mantenimiento de directrices para la codificación digital de textos literarios, lingüísticos, también de las ciencias sociales, que publica periódicamente, mejora también lo que se llaman las TEI Guidelines, las guías, directrices del consorcio, que son, en líneas generales, un estándar internacional, interdisciplinar, muy usado, no solamente a nivel edición digital de textos, pero también en bibliotecas, museos y por editores investigadores. Una cuestión muy importante de la TEI es que gracias a la utilización de un estándar compartido por la comunidad a escala global, ha logrado cohesionar a los investigadores alrededor de este estándar, alrededor del uso de este estándar, y además fomentar, permitir la interoperabilidad entre, por ejemplo, los textos que se codifican, el intercambio entre los investigadores, que muchas veces es, o antes era, a través de la colaboración en proyectos de investigación. Aquí está soportado, sustentado, apoyado también en esta, digamos, pata tecnológica. Y la TEI, bueno, tiene una particularidad muy interesante, es que tiene un carácter modular y es personalizable. No vamos a entrar en estos temas, pero sí es un estándar de mercado que permite un trabajo muy libre, flexible, adaptable a muchísimos textos y a necesidades de los y las investigadores. Next slide. Bien. Al que le interese saber más, la TEI tiene un sitio web donde hay una gran cantidad de materiales, como las guías directrices, lista de proyectos, una wiki, distintas herramientas para realizar los distintos esquemas que se usan para el mercado. También una lista de discusión interesante para sumarse, una lista de discusión donde cuando uno tiene a lo mejor una duda sobre las etiquetas o los códigos a utilizar, la comunidad siempre está lista para responder. A veces pasan segundos hasta que uno envía un email y es respondido con consejos o digamos, la respuesta a la pregunta que uno estaba formulando. También decirles que han surgido una gran cantidad de iniciativas locales particulares de la TEI. En los últimos años en español está la iniciativa de City Hub, pero también, por ejemplo, la comunidad japonesa tiene, por ejemplo, su propia lista de distribución sobre los temas. Hay iniciativas locales también fuertes en las universidades, no solamente a nivel, digamos, país o regional. Next slide, Raff. Bueno, y solo para los que a lo mejor no están como muy acostumbrados a pensar en términos de la TEI o en qué hace la TEI, este es un muy simple ejemplo para mostrarles la forma en la que una edición digital, un texto digital enriquecido hoy en día que podemos consultar en un espacio web está sostenido también, ¿no? en términos de la codificación de la TEI y cómo esto ayuda, colabora con presentar textos consultables, como decía, enriquecidos desde un lugar que, digamos, lo que lo está permitiendo es el mercado, ¿no? es este tipo de codificación. Y como esto, e insisto en esto, principalmente para los hispanohablantes, es una forma de promover, mejorar, dar más visibilidad al patrimonio cultural a través de la web y trazar lazos también entre investigadores, profesores, universitarios y los espacios, por ejemplo, de bibliotecas, museos, galerías, etc. Next slide. I think that my part is now over, and now Martina is going to talk a little bit about how we have been working in the internationalization working group on the TI. So Martina, do you want to continue?
Sorry, I was muted. Hello, everyone. I will now talk a little bit about the internationalization of the TI guidelines and our plans, especially. The internationalization has always been a key issue for the TI community, since many users of the guidelines are coming from across the globe with different language skills and different cultural backgrounds. The TI guidelines may be thought of as having two parts. The one is the running prose of the chapters, and the other is the documentation of element and attribute definitions. These definitions of elements and attributes were in the center of different internationalization attempts in the past. Individual members or groups started to translate these specifications into other languages like Chinese, French, German, Italian, Japanese, Korean, and Spanish. There was also, for example, a Translatathon organized at the TEI conference in 2016 in Vienna. However, most of the efforts were not completed, or since the TEI is a living standard and the specifications might have changed meanwhile, the translations might be outdated. So picking up on this great preparatory work of our colleagues in all these projects, in October 2019, a group of people, including Gimena, Helena, and me, met at the Triangle Scholarly Communications Institute at the Duke University to discuss the topic of communicating the TI to a multilingual user community and how we can make progress here. As a consequence, in February 2020, the TI Consortium established a working group on internationalization, the I18N working group, and the mission of the internationalization working group is now to develop a multilingual glossary of the TI terminology, which should, on the one hand, support translators in the translation process, to, of course, produce consistent translations, and also to explain why a particular word, for example, was chosen for a specific concept, or sometimes a concept doesn't exist in another language. It should also be used for the translation of the interface of the website, and so on and so forth. Another thing is that we want to develop a curated repository of multilingual and multicultural examples, which is very important since a lot of examples in the TI guidelines are in English and may not be useful in other languages and cultural contexts. We also want to produce introductory materials in different languages. And here we already have great examples for introductory materials. For example, the TT Hub by Gimena and Susana Les. Sorry, and Gabriel.
No, sorry. And Gabriel Dara is here too.
Yeah, sorry. And also the Japanese colleagues are producing guidelines in Japanese. And that's something that we also want to do, or to bring together and make it as a template for different languages. We also work on a tool for the translation of the TI specifications, and there should also be internationalized landing pages for the TIC's website. So when you go on the TI website, that you can choose different languages. So this all should be turned into a special interest group as soon as we successfully fulfilled our mission, and should then be open for everyone to discuss different internationalization topics. Can we switch to the next slide, please? Just quickly, I was talking about the TI specifications. So this is an example for the specification of the element node, where we have a transcription of the element, and these transcriptions should be translated into different languages. And here we also have for the attribute, the transcription. These are all parts that we aim to translate in different languages. Then I will hand over to Raff.
Hola a todos y todas. Voy a hablar inglés también porque es mucho mejor que mi castellano. So here we're going to move into a more practical part of this section of this workshop, and we're going to work on a TI glossary of terms that we have put together. And I'll show you how we can work to translate it. So if you haven't yet, please grab these slides that are located at this address, because essentially I'm going to switch to showing you this application and how it works live. But the rest of the slides actually, contain a lot of instructions on how to use it that will essentially repeat what I will be saying shortly. So if you have access to these slides, you can return to them as reference as you start doing the work in this workshop. So for the TI glossary, we're using a web application called Airtable. It's essentially an online database that looks like spreadsheets. So it's quite easy to use if you've ever used anything like Excel, but it has some differences. So I'm going to show you how to do a couple of simple operations. The glossary is not editable by the entire world. You have to be invited to edit it. So if you registered to this workshop previously, you should have received an invite directly from Airtable in your email. If you haven't received it, then we can send you a direct link and we'll put that in the chat. I don't know if someone could do that since I don't have direct access to the chat right now. I shared it in the chat earlier on, but not everybody was here, so it may not be visible to everyone. Okay, so I will show you how to use it. So this is what it looks like once you get access. So I'll start with an overview of the interface. You have three major components. Here at the top, you have tables that are essentially, if you were using like a spreadsheet, you can have multiple sheets. Here you have multiple tables. Okay, so we have a table for terms, contributors, languages, and then like specific languages. So the main table and the main view for the glossary is the terms table, which basically organizes all of the translations based on a source term in English. And we're using English here because that's the language of the guidelines. So it sort of becomes the way in which we coordinate all the other translations. And then here you can see that there are translations that have already been provided. They have like a background color because they are linked, they're connected to entries in the other tables. And that's where things get a little bit different than a regular spreadsheet. It's not, the text is not simply here, it's actually linked from a different location. And that's why it acts a little bit more like a database. If there is no translation, then it means that it's waiting for someone to provide it. And so we're gonna be doing that. This table also offers a number of views, which are essentially just filtered views of this very same table. So they're available here. So for example, if I go to needs translation español, it will just show you all the ones that do not have a translation yet, and will hide the ones that have already been translated. So if I click here, I will be shown a list of English terms with no translation available in Spanish. So this could be one way of accessing, figuring out where to start. And so I'm going to show you how to add a translation. I'm going to do it in Italian because that's my native language. So I'm going to look at the word addition, and I will provide a translation. When I click here, this plus shows up. So you click on it, and then I click on add new record, because here it gives you a list of existing translations, but nothing is going to be appropriate. I need a new translation, right? Because it's missing. So I click on add new record. And here you can see this pop-up comes up, and you can see this little squiggly line that goes to the table called Italiano. That's how it lets you know that we are actually editing something that belongs to that table. And then I can go ahead and provide my translation. So the word was addition, and I'm going to translate it as aggiunta. And now that word is being created, but I can do a few more things. For example, I can write some notes. And in this case, I do want to write a little note because the English word addition can be translated into two different terms in Italian, depending on the meaning. So in this case, because I know how the TI works, I know that aggiunta is the best translation. But if addition was intended in the sense of the mathematical operation, then it would be addizione. So I'm going to make a note here that it shouldn't be confused with that specific aspect. And I'm going to do it in Italian because, Italian speakers will be using this. So I will add a little comment. Okay. Then I can sort of assign myself to this translation as a way of sort of taking responsibility of the fact that I provided it. So if someone has questions, they can get back to me. So I can look up my name in the list of contributors, which is here, which comes up there. So I'm going to add myself. And this is entirely optional. You can do this anonymously. But if you do want to add your name to this, then you have to add yourself to the list of contributors. So I'm now done with showing you the main operations for providing a translation. You can close this and you're done. And now that terms disappears from this list, because this list is filtered, only shows you things that have not been translated, but it will be available back on the main view of all languages. So now addition has my translation here, aggiunta. So quick overview of how to add yourself as a contributor. You have to go to the contributors table, and you can click on this plus here, and then you just enter your name, and you can choose which languages you can contribute to. And the other ones these will come up automatically. If you assign yourself to certain translations, then they will come up here. So like you can see that I've added aggiunta. So this is entirely optional. You don't have to do this. But it's a way of sort of taking responsibility and credit for the work that you do. It's up to you. One last thing, if you want to edit something that is already being entered, then my suggestion is to go straight to the table of your language. So I'm going to go to Italiano. And here I see all the Italian terms that have already been translated. Okay. And same with other tables. You will only see things that have already been translated here. So it's essentially where you go and make changes. So here is aggiunta, and you can edit this at any time, and you can change it up. You can change the notes. You can change contributors. You can have multiple contributors, of course, if someone makes changes or anything like that. And that's it. So that's all that we're going to do. And definitely the main operation is, adding terms here when they're missing. Before we get started, if you have any questions or want me to repeat anything, please let me know. I'll be happy to do that. Any questions?
Sí, si hay alguna pregunta o comentario. Elena, ¿querías añadir algo más a lo que dijimos? Bien, ok. Preguntas o comentarios, y si quieren, mientras las pensamos, solo comentar dos cositas que, como mencionaba Martina, esto es parte del trabajo del grupo de internacionalización de la TEI. Si alguien en el futuro está interesado en ser parte, digamos, del grupo y los esfuerzos de traducción que desde el año pasado vienen organizándose y están pensados para los próximos, es bienvenido a sumarse. Este es un primer trabajo o ejercicio colaborativo como para sensibilizar acerca de lo que es, digamos, las posibilidades del uso de la TEI, pero como comentaba Martina, la idea es que estamos trabajando en una plataforma donde se incorporaría toda la traducción de este glosario digamos, a disposición de una plataforma donde estarían traducidas las especificaciones de la TEI. Y otro tipo digamos, de iniciativas que tenemos pensadas para el futuro. Así que esto, digamos, se enmarca en esos esfuerzos que vienen realizándose en distintas lenguas. Hasta aquí, como las instrucciones, así que, Ro, si querés ahora cortar ya la transmisión, estamos bien, porque la idea es ahora tomarnos lo que queda del tiempo que vamos a estar terminando esta sesión en unos 30-45 minutos. Y eso, hacer un trabajo, digamos, de edición colaborativa grupal de ahora en adelante, trabajando en el glosario, como decía Raff. Mi sugerencia para los que no están tan acostumbrados a trabajar